Belle Gunness was born Brynhild Paulsdatter Storseth in November of the year 1859. She was born in Selbu, Norway, to a poor family and the youngest of 8 children. Not much is known about her early life, but her personality was said to have changed drastically after a tragic loss. Pregnant in her late teens, Belle attended a dance where she was attacked by a man and kicked in the abdomen to the point that she miscarried. Some reports suggest that he may have been the father of her unborn child. Because the man was from a wealthy family, he faced no prosecution. He mysteriously died shortly afterwards of stomach cancer. Some consider this her first murder. Belle worked on a farm for 3 years saving her money, and in 1881 she decided to follow in the footsteps of one of her sisters and emigrate to America. She first went to Chicago where her sister lived. When she arrived, she took work as a servant. After a couple of years, she met and married a man named Mads Sorensen, with whom she had 4 children. Reports vary as to whether these children were adopted or biological, but a 5th child, Jenny Olsen, was adopted. The family opened a confectionery store, but it mysteriously burned down after a year of unsuccessful business. Belle and Mads collected a large insurance payout from this. During her time in Chicago, her 2 oldest children died of acute colitis, which has symptoms very similar to several kinds of poisoning. Both children had insurance policies taken out against them. Another house of theirs also mysteriously burned down, again insured. Tragedy struck Belle again in 1900 when Mads died after suffering chest pain on the one day that 2 different insurance policies overlapped. The first doctor who examined him thought he had died of strychnine poisoning, but their family doctor insisted Mads had heart problems and died of natural causes. Belle claimed the insurance money the day after Mads' funeral, netting a payout of $8,500, roughly $255,000 in today's money. With the insurance money, she took her remaining 3 children and moved to a farm in LaPorte, Indiana. 2 of the buildings on the farm mysteriously burned down shortly after Belle took up residence. There she married a man named Peter Gunness in April of 1902. Peter brought 2 children into the marriage. The infant died shortly after they were married while alone with Belle. Not long after this, the older child, Swanhild, was taken in by Peter's brother. She is the only child to have survived living with Belle. Peter Gunness died in December of 1902, as Belle told it, after a meat grinder had fallen off a shelf and struck him in the head. Belle collected a healthy insurance payout despite there being an inquest into Peter's death. Somehow she managed to convince the authorities that the death was not foul play. Though she did not disclose it at the inquest, Belle was pregnant at the time, and in May of 1903 she gave birth to Peter's son, Philip. In 1906, Belle's adopted daughter Jenny Olsen disappeared from the farm. When asked about Jenny's whereabouts, she told people Jenny had been sent off to school in California. Without a man to help around the farm, Belle hired Ray Lamphere as farmhand. Some say there were several farmhands that came and went from the Gunness farm, though no one could say exactly where the others had actually went to. In 1906, she placed ads in several newspaper Lonely Hearts columns reading, "Commonly widow who owns a large farm in one of the finest districts in LaPorte County, Indiana, desires to make the acquaintance of a gentleman equally well provided, with view of joining fortunes. No replies by letter considered unless sender is willing to follow answer with personal visit. Triflers need not apply." Though she was said to be an imposing woman standing at 6 feet tall and around 200 pounds, she had an hourglass figure which was in fashion at the time. Many wealthy men answered her ads. She would lure them to the farm, having convinced them to bring their fortunes or at least a substantial part of it, and afterwards they would never be seen again. Only one man managed to escape Belle. George Anderson went to the farm as all the others had done previously, and one night awoke suddenly to find Belle standing over him with a murderous expression on her face. When George yelled out in alarm, Belle fled, and he wasted no time throwing on his clothes and getting out of there as fast as his feet would carry him, looking over his shoulder the whole way. The Gunness farm had a large hog pen which Belle had surrounded with a high fence. Several neighbours had seen Belle digging in the hog pen at night. As more suitors came and disappeared, Belle's farmhand Ray Lamphere started becoming a problem. He had fallen in love with Belle and was becoming increasingly jealous of all the men coming to the farm. Belle was also having problems with the family members of some of the men she murdered, wanting to know where their loved ones were. Belle made up various excuses to pacify the families. In 1907, Andrew Helgelien also disappeared from the farm, but unlike the others, Andrew's brother was not to be put off by Belle's excuses. He intended to come to LaPorte to search for his brother himself. In the meantime, Ray had caused such a fuss at the farm that Belle fired him. Drowning his sorrows in the local tavern, Ray started to let things slip. Belle knew her time was short and enacted a plan to escape the coming justice. In the small hours of the morning on the 28th of April 1908, the Gunness farm was burned to the ground. In the ashes of the basement, the body of Belle's 3 children and the headless body of a woman was found. The identity of the woman was up for serious debate. Many claimed that the body of the woman could not possibly be of Belle since it was far too small. Later, bridgework was found in the ashes that Belle's dentist verifies was hers, oddly untouched by the fire. All the money Belle had saved had also been withdrawn from her bank just before the fire, It was estimated to be around $250,000, roughly $6.8 million today. Asley Helgelien, Andrew's brother, arrived just after the fire and stated his suspicions to the sheriff. Joe Maxson, hired as a farmhand after Ray was fired, also approached the sheriff with tales of strange happenings at the farm, generally centered around the hog pen. The sheriff took men back to the Gunness farm and started digging in that area. The first body found was that of little Jenny Olsen. More bodies followed. They had been dismembered and buried in the hog pen, or sometimes just fed to the pigs. Pieces of bone were all that was left of those who had been disposed of by this method. Because of the lack of complete bodies, the total body count will probably never be known. It is estimated that at least 40 people met their fate at Belle's hands. Since some believe that the body in the basement was Belle, Ray Lamphere was arrested on May the 22nd, 1908. He had been found in possession of property belonging to some of the murdered men. He swore that Belle had given him the items as gifts. He was convicted of arson but not murder. He did admit to assisting Belle in disposing of the bodies, but claimed he never killed anyone himself. He died in prison in 1909 from tuberculosis, but made a final confession to a priest. He told the holy man that he and Belle had gone up to Chicago and brought back a woman who had agreed to be Belle's housekeeper just before the fire. It was this woman's remains that Ray claimed was found in the ashes at the Gunness farm. So if Belle didn't die in the fire, what happened to her? Sightings of Belle were reported for several decades after the farm had burned to the ground. The case got a jump start in 1931 when a woman in Los Angeles, California, was arrested for poisoning a man for his money. Esther Carlson was said to closely resemble Belle and for whom records cannot be found prior to 1908. She was also the right age and possessed a photo of 3 children who resembled Belle's. Esther Carlson died in 1931 of tuberculosis while awaiting trial. In 2007, forensic anthropologists and graduate students from the University of Indianapolis obtained permission from Belle's descendants to exhume the headless body believed to be hers in LaPorte and run DNA tests. The results were inconclusive. Well, my dear friends, I hope you enjoyed this latest presentation, brought to you by Oddie, but this time the script has been researched and written by Sara, one of my Patreon supporters, and she kindly offered to write me a few stories and research them, for which I'm very grateful. It saves me a bit of time. So this is her first one. She's already sent me the file for the next one, so it's going to be quite exciting. Yeah, I'm very grateful for that. That's a time saver. So, round of applause for Sara. Thank you so much, Sara. Well, my viewers, what do you think? Did Belle escape the fire, or did she perish in the flames? I, for one, totally believe that she started the fire and got away scot-free. Yeah, she was too cunning and too ruthless to have died in the flames or committed suicide or anything like that. Yeah, I think the maid that she hired, or the hired help that she had brought in, that was the victim, with Belle's dentures conveniently placed nearby to be found. Yeah, I think she got away. Probably done quite a few more murders after that, I would suspect. And this Esther woman at the end, when you look at the face, I can see some similarities very much. I mean, okay, her face is more haggard and drawn, has lost some weight, but if you look at the nose profile, although it's on a different angle, it's very much the same. The shape of the eyes, yeah, the hairline, I think that could very well be her. I'd like to know your opinion on that. I'd also like to take the opportunity to say a huge thank you to Tamara. She made Odette and I some beautiful gifts that she created herself. They are talismans, and we treasure them. They're beautiful. Absolutely. You're an artist, Tamara. You are an artist. Now, I know I wanted to actually do some advertising for Tamara. She didn't want it. She's such a humble soul, and she's got more than enough work anyway, she says. I can quite believe that by seeing the quality of her work. So, and I just would like to take this opportunity to thank you sincerely from my heart, and Odette is also giving her sincere thanks, and yeah, we're very grateful for that, and you certainly deserve a round of applause too, Tamara. Thank you, my friend. Well, in a few days, Odette and I are taking a short vacation, a break, a holiday. We're going on a little driving tour to Alsace in France. Been there many, many years ago. Haven't been since. It's a beautiful area. We'll be taking the camera and the iPhone. Whenever the opportunity presents itself, I will be creating some footage for you on YouTube to view. And so if I don't answer all of your comments under this video, I will get around to it eventually. You will just know that I'm absent for a small time. And then when I get back, an American author has hired me to create a trailer video for him, for his new book. So that's going to be quite exciting. So I'll be doing that when I come back, and also I'll be posting it on YouTube. So yeah. He wanted me to actually do the audio narration for the book, but we couldn't come to an agreement about the price. It was just a lot of work, and yeah, I didn't think it was worth my time for what he was wanting to pay, but he's been quite generous with the trailer, so I don't mind doing that, and something different. I may even get into audiobooks one day. I'm going to be looking at that avenue. Yeah, if it's going to be worthwhile for me, this could be another opportunity for me to give up my other job to do this line of work, which I would welcome, because it would make me basically not reliant on an outside job, and that means I could travel anywhere and do the work, and that is my ultimate goal. Yeah, so, and after that, I have another junk store tour coming. This one's in the city. I visited about a week ago, and also the Alsace holiday, which you'll be seeing. And then I've got a new feature. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I know what it is, but that's another one coming for YouTube. It's my next project when I finally get it done. And then it's back to Patreon for another historical feature. So there's quite a few things coming up in the next few weeks to look forward to. Yeah, I think I've blah-blahed on enough. So I'm going to head off. Wishing you all the very best, and love to hear your comments, love to hear your feedback, as always. And take care, God bless, and be well, and be safe. See you next time, my friends. Bye-bye.